All right, so far we have put together the beginning of our dice rolling and graphing program. We created a list up here on my line 6 called results. That's going to collect all the numbers as we roll our dice and see what number comes up. We created down here, I'm going to put a note here, okay, a loop up here. So we have a repeat loop for rolling our dice, right? And we are right now, the last number we put in there was 100. So that means we're going to roll the dice 100 times and see what numbers come up. This is a variable to store what number is rolled. Oops. And then here is where we put that number at the end of the results list. Oops, there we go. Okay, then we created another list called frequencies, and that is going to store how many of each number is rolled. So let's go down here. We ran a test earlier. Let's just run a test one more time, make sure everything is still working. I didn't accidentally click or change anything. I'm going to go ahead and put, let's see, above our frequencies list. So on line 12 here is our list for frequencies. Let's move that down by clicking return or enter. And then I'm going to put a print here, and I want to print out our results list before we move on. And then at the end, we'll print our frequencies list. So this is going to show us what numbers we roll. This is going to show us how many times each of those numbers is rolled. So let's run a test. And in Trinket, this is my printout right here. Perfect. So here is where I rolled the dice 100 times. Those are each number that came up. So I rolled a 3, and then I rolled a 5, and then I rolled a 6, and then I rolled a 4, and on down. 100 times. The second list is here between brackets, and that shows us that we rolled the number 1 7 times. We rolled the number 2 14 times. We rolled the number 3 17 times. We rolled the number 4 21 times. We rolled the number 5 22 times. And we rolled the number 6 19 times. All right, so everything looks like it's working. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create, or we're going to have the computer create a bar graph of all of this data that we collected. So let's go back and look at our notes. And we're going to start on this line here, creating a histogram. So we're going to call this for short. We're going to create an object, hist equals, and then we're going to call it pygal.bar. Right? So remember, Pygal is the module that we imported that allows us to create some graphs, and we're telling it that we're going to create this object called hist, short for like histogram, and it's going to be a bar graph. So now let's set up our bar graph. So every bar graph needs a few things, right? It's going to have up and down axis, our y axis. It's going to have a left and right axis, right? That's going to be our x axis. We need to name those in our graph so people know what they represent. And we need to put some numbers along the y and the x axis so that we know what we're keeping track of there. We're also going to give our graph a title. Every good graph should have a title. So let's call it, this is going to be hist.title equals, let's call it exactly what it is. So results of rolling dice 1,000 times. We're going to change our number up there later. Okay, let's make sure I did that correctly. Okay, so now let's put some labels on our x-axis. So we'll say hist.x_axis equals. So our x, that's along the bottom of the graph. And what we're going to see is, right, each number on the dice along the bottom, and then a bar going up to show us how many times we rolled that number. So along the bottom, we're going to put the numbers. Make sure I did that right. I did it wrong. Let's fix this. Okay, brackets. And around each number, a quote. So the first label will be a 1. The second label will be a 2. 3, oops, comma is outside of our quotation mark, 4, 5, oh, and a 6, regular die. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And now we need to label both axes. So we're going to do X title and Y title. So hist.x title. Okay, so the title of our X axis going along the bottom, that's going to tell people that the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 means the numbers on the die. So let's say we can call it number rolled, maybe. And then let's name our y-axis. The y-axis goes up and down. And that's going to show people how many times. So frequency. Did we give it a better name in my notes? Let's just check. Frequency of results, a little more descriptive. Okay. Something like that. So that people know it's telling us how many times we rolled that number. All right, almost ready. So now here at the bottom of our notes, we see this is where we're going to tell the computer to then set up that graph and then show that graph. So the function for that is going to be dot add. So let's go hist. I'm going to put a little space here. Hist dot add. And then in parentheses, we're going to put a little symbol that tells people what our bars represent. And then we're going to have it pull that frequencies list, right? Because this right here, frequencies list, that is where we stored the information about how many times we rolled each number. So we're telling it, there's the printout of that this is the data to put on the graph. So add this data to the graph and then render, open close parenthesis. Yeah, that's going to show our graph. So if we did not make any typos, if we did not make any typing errors, save, then should be ready to run our program. Let's try it again. There we go. And remember, if I roll it again, I should get some different results. Now we're going to go back up to the top here, right here, line 8 for roll number in range. So we had changed this to run our tests so that our list wasn't super long. But let's put that back to 1,000 dice rolls and let's try it again. Run. All right. And that's it.